Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, this is The Gaily Show. I'm JP Debragosian. We are your answer to the question, what queer thing can I read, watch, or go to this week in Minnesota and beyond? To kick us off today, please don't forget that the new Eagle Creek Saloon is now open at the Walker Art Center. If you're watching on YouTube, we've got some preview images of the installation. It just opened on March 7th. The new Eagle Creek Saloon is artist Sadie Barnett's reimagining of her father's bar, the first Black-owned gay bar in San Francisco. The exhibit opened on March 7th. It is running through May 19th, and it is immersive as a fully functioning bar. There are going to be community events throughout the run, so for more information, head to walkerart.org. You can now buy your tickets for Theater Latte Das The Color Purple, which opens March 20th. It is actually a co-production with Jiva Theater in New York, so it's going to play here in the cities before moving to the Jiva later this spring. We will be having interviews with cast members later this month, so stay tuned to this space. Over at the Ordway Theater, Hairspray is going to be playing from March 12th through March 17th. It is an all-new touring production. Now, this musical isn't gay per se, but I would say that it is super queer. If you haven't seen it before or seen the film, it's 1960s, it's in Baltimore, and our heroine is 16-year-old Tracy Turnblad, whose big dream is to dance on TV's most popular TV show. You may already know the songs Welcome to the 60s, Good Morning Baltimore, and You Can't Stop the Beat. There are still tickets available, but they're starting to get limited because I checked their website. So go to ordway.org for your tickets. On TV, Young Royals is back. Season 3 drops on March 11th. Netflix is holding the final episode until March 18th. I don't like this trend of dripping content every week. Disney started it and then Max followed them. I hope Netflix isn't going to start doing this too, where they release some episodes one week and then wait to release other episodes. They did this with The Crown last year, splitting the final season in two. But let's be honest, the way The Crown turned out, maybe they should have just kept those last episodes to themselves. Anyhow, The Young Royals is a show hailing from Sweden. It's sort of like Heartstopper if one of them was a prince. If you haven't seen it, a young middle-class kid, Simon, gets to go to a super elite high school that is so good the princes of Sweden get to go there. And Simon meets the youngest prince of Sweden, Wilhelm. Wilhelm has the whole party boy, I'm the spare, not the heir to the throne thing going on. Think Prince Harry circa early 2000s. It turns out that Wilhelm and Simon, however, are attracted to each other, and Simon starts to flirt with Wilhelm, and they start this secret romance because can a prince of Sweden be gay? The first two seasons covered their covert relationship, being outed, trying to navigate all the teenage drama of love in high school, while also dealing with the fact that, one of them is a prince. And add to another layer of the drama, Wilhelm's older brother dies in a car crash. And suddenly, now Wilhelm's going to be king one day. Based on the season 3 trailer, it looks like we are also in store for some major new drama. Wilhelm's cousin, who I do not like, is trying to make a play for the throne. The queen is putting extra pressure on Wilhelm to be more king-like. Simon keeps trying to help, but everything he does seems to be backfiring. The trailer also hints that Wilhelm might abdicate altogether. Young Royals, Season 3, it is also the final season, so catch up this weekend and stream the new and final season on March 11th. Also on TV this weekend is the Oscars. And what's more gay than the Oscars? Well, not the Oscars, apparently, because it's almost all straight and cisgender people nominated this year, like every year. Fingers crossed that Coleman Domingo will pull off a surprise win for Best Actor. If you haven't seen Rustin on Netflix this weekend, well, watch it. The film is the first real movie about Bayard Rustin, who was a major influence on the civil rights movement, and basically the reason why there was a March on Washington. Like the same March on Washington that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his I Dream speech at. Now, we don't know much about Bayard because he was gay, and because of this, his role was deliberately marginalized and erased because of it. And, fun fact, Coleman is the first out actor to be nominated for the Best Actor Academy Award in the entire 21st century. Like, all of it. The last time an out actor was nominated in this category was 1998, Sir Ian McKellen. The Oscars, I think we can safely say, doesn't like queer actors in this category. It's a bit different for Best Actress. In 2018, 2019, and 2021, out queer actors were nominated in this category. Lady Gaga, Cynthia Erivo, Kristen Stewart. And this year, fingers crossed, it's looking good that Lily Gladstone might win for Best Actress. Fingers crossed. Lily identifies as non-binary and two-spirit, and was recently schooling The Hollywood Reporter on how in most native languages there are no gendered pronouns. So Lily uses she, they. Lily was also raised on the Blackfeet Native Reservation in Montana, and they star in The Killers of the Flower Moon, but no out actress has ever won in this category at the time of voting. So Jodie Foster and Susan Sarandon, they came out decades after their respective wins. Lily Gladstone is also the first Native American actor to ever be nominated in this category. And there's an interesting distinction here because there have been Indigenous actresses nominated in this category, but never a Native American one. On the supporting actor side of things, well, there aren't any out actors nominated this year. Fun fact, Sir Ian McKellen was the last out actor to be nominated in this category, and that was in 2001. And for Best Supporting Actress, well, we actually have some wins in this category. Out actresses Tilda Swinton and Ariana DeBose have all won this Oscars. All. They've both won the Oscar in this category in 2007 and 2021. Last year, Stephanie Sue was nominated in this category, and this year, Jodie Foster is. Other queer projects to root for this year include the film Nimona in the Best Animated Feature. The ABCs of Book Banning is nominated in the Short Documentary category, and Billie Eilish is up for Best Song for Barbie. But the Oscars are dead to me this year because they didn't nominate All of Us Strangers for anything. So I'll be watching in protest, but also rooting for my queer fam. So this past weekend, I got the chance to watch the new film I Love You More with our executive producer, Jim Pounds. It's from filmmaker Erblin Nushi, and Jim joins me now to chat about it. Well, hi, Jim. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, JP. How are you?
I'm well. So, I Love You More, new film. We just watched it on streaming on Prime. It's available on Prime. You have to still like purchase it, but the purchasing was actually pretty decent. I think it was like $3.99 for it. So, what did you think? I Love You More.
I thought it was, it's not always clear. I think it was intentionally ambiguous of what story they were exactly telling, right? They could have been talking about young love. They could have been talking about family dynamics. They could have been talking about all of the above. And so, whenever something's left to your own ability to put it together, and it's ambiguous like that, it always frustrates me. Sometimes I just need to be told exactly what to think, which I know is very Virgo of me. But I appreciated that both of those points of view, that is of the family and of these young characters, were, sincerely felt and honestly represented. And I felt like you could have found your loyalties lying one place or the other, or back and forth. Sometimes I would be frustrated with the family or frustrated with the young the young would-be lovers, I guess we'll call it. I don't. You haven't probably said what the story is, so maybe we should do that first, because I'm.
Yeah, so there is, I guess he's 17 or 18-year-old. He's Ben. The whole thing takes place in Kosovo, which was gorgeously shot.
Yeah.
But Ben, right, he's graduating, he's going to prom. His mom is making his suit, but that's her, like her job. She's a tailor, and or seamstress, makes clothes. And so, but he has this like secret relationship with a young man, Leo, in Germany. And so they've never actually met. It's been going on for a year. They've been secret texting and talking on the, on their laptops, and they've been, calling each other. But it's also like of a time where you had to have like credits on your phone. You know what I mean? You purchase time on your phone. So one of the things, the hurdles that comes up a lot is that, they don't have enough credit on their phone to make the text or to make the calls. But they are finally going to meet. They've got it finally set up that they're going to meet in July, and Leo's going to come to Kosovo on a family vacation. But then Ben's family gets a green card. They get green cards for the whole family to join their sister, who lives in Ben's sister in the United States. And so the family, the parents decide, well, we need to move in July. There's like a time crunch there. And so, Ben is like, wait, you got to be kidding me. I finally, after, 1 year, they're finally going to meet. And then, now this whole green card, and, it's a big family move. I think that to me was interesting. I'll be curious what you thought of this, the idea that they're going to upend this entire big family change for some rando who lives in Germany.
Well, and it was there was really no question that everybody wanted to move. I mean, nobody
Yeah.
was resisting that or saying, "What about grandma?" or whatever. What about my friends? Or everybody was on the program to move, and suddenly there was this obstacle that nobody saw coming, and um, and without revealing anything, that it takes another twist later on that I didn't see coming, and it left the whole thing left me feeling ambiguous, which is what life is like. But I didn't like it because I wanted it to
Yeah.
be, spoon fed, and here, this is what you're supposed to think, and this is how you're supposed to feel. uh, so I appreciated that there was an authenticity about everything was gray. Every character was a little gray. Nobody was a
Mhm.
hero. Nobody was a villain. It was murky. And then, like you said, the idea of people wanting to upend their lives, and everybody wanted to go through that. And I think you and I both said to each other watching it, wait till they get to the US, because there's another whole movie
Yeah.
that's that's part of that, because there's this idealized sense of, don't you want to go there and have
Yeah.
a better life, which I'm by some measure we don't question that, but by some measure maybe we should. And so I had a lot of ambiguous. It made me feel very ambiguous, and it's a privilege now of this much gay content to be able to say, well, it wasn't perfect, but in the old days we were glad if somebody said the word gay. So the fact that this is complex and nuanced, and that I had ambiguous feelings about it, is probably just fine.
Yeah. I mean, I liked that we knew from the beginning they weren't going to be together. So many of these movies, it's are they, aren't they? Are they going to be together? Aren't they going to be? And then, but the problem is at the end of the movies, they're always not together anyway. Something comes up and to drive them
Right.
apart. So I was happy that at least we knew from the get go that they weren't going to end up together. And that wasn't the point of the story. The point was, this teenage love. And are they going to at least meet this one time? And if they do finally get to meet one time, like, what is that going to look like? Because clearly the main character, Ben, is all in that teenage puppy love, true romance. So does it actually end up being what he thinks it's going to be, this one night that he's built up into his head? And I think, I don't know if that was like for you or not. For me, it was very similar, that like you've been waiting for it for so long, and it's finally happening, and you've built it up in your head, and then it's almost like disappointing because it can never live up to all of that, right? So
And
it's
there's
interesting how they played that here.
and it wasn't particularly sexual. It was very
No.
much romantic. I mean, I
Hmm.
don't know. I'm sure we didn't, it wasn't about that. That often it's the hormones that motivate, but this seemed to be as much about holding and, romance
Hmm.
and intimacy that was desired rather than, the sort of randy teenager thing that we might typically see. And I thought that was interesting and a little more soulful and a little more painful because it was,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll say deeper. I don't know if that's true, but that's the way it struck me anyway.
And Kosovo is gorgeous. Like the filmmaker Erblin Nushi, the way that he shot that, a lot of times I found myself thinking, why do you want to come to the States? And I must have known there's a lot of other things that are going on there because, like, one of the first lines that Ben has is that he wished been born in America, right? But I mean, the way that it's shot, I mean, that's a gorgeous country.
Well, and where are they going? I felt like the sister was in New York, and I thought, who are you going to
Oh,
have
that's a good
some?
question.
That was, I don't know where I got
I don't
that
think we
from, but
know.
so I guess what I would say everyone should take from this is that there's a lot going on here, and you can glom onto any one of 20 different tracks probably and say this is how the story struck me, but it is not linear and it's not singular. It's kind of like a bowl of cherries. You have to pick which one you're going to eat, I guess.
So, out of four rainbows, how many rainbows would you give it?
I would give it 3 rainbows. I
Yeah,
I thought
I'm the same.
it didn't satisfy my logical sense of if A then B equals C. It didn't satisfy that, but I did feel for a lot of different people that were in the movie. A lot of those characters were
Yeah,
seemed palpable to me, and I appreciated their humanity.
yeah, me too. Well, this has been fun. I know that we'll have, films and TV shows that we're watching coming up here. So, Jim, you will be back. And I Love You More, available on Amazon Prime. Again, I Love You More is available on Prime and Video on Demand. Speaking of films, Problemista is out now. Well, it's not out here in the Twin Cities just yet, but for those of you who are listening elsewhere, check your local theaters. If you don't know Julio Torres, who writes and directs this, I really loved his comedy special on HBO Max. It's called My Favorite Shapes. And the entire show is this like conveyor belt that brings out various objects of differing shapes. And Julio has a joke or story that goes for each of them. It sounds weird because Julio is weird, but it is amazing. His show, Los Espookies, is also on Max. In the show, a group of friends create a business which creates horror situations for people who need it, meaning they fabricate scenes of like film like situations as if you're in a horror movie and then trick people into thinking that it's real. So, for example, in the first episode, an older priest hires them to fake an exorcism so that he can be more popular than the new younger priest who's just come to town. Los Spookies, it's weird and it's funny, and there are 2 seasons streaming on Max. Problemista stars Julio and Tilda Swinton. I'm already now kind of in. This is Julio's first film where he's acting and writing and directing. It's a comedy about Alejandro, who is an aspiring toy designer. And he's from El Salvador and living in the US on a work visa in New York City. No one is really digging his ideas for new toy designs. And when his visa runs out, he takes a job as an assistant to a ridiculously over the top Tilda Swinton, who is this erratic outcast from the New York art scene. The trailer is also narrated by Isabella Rossellini, so fingers crossed that she makes an appearance. I also saw Greta Lee from Past Lives in there, so that will be fun to see her again. Problemista is out now in select cities. It's coming to the Twin Cities in a couple weeks. Right now, the Alamo Draft House is selling tickets for the weekend of March 21st. Let's hope it gets here sooner than that. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks everyone for listening and or watching. Our podcasts are executive produced by Jim Pounds. Creative and accounting support is provided by Gordy Erickson. Production, distribution, and marketing support provided by Brett Johnson. Chad Larson, Laura Headland, and Jennifer Ogren from AM 950. You can find us on social media. Search for This Queer Book Saved My Life on Facebook. We're at This Queer Book on Instagram, and we are also at _Gaily Show on Instagram. Follow us there on Instagram for preview clips from upcoming episodes before they air on the radio or stream on your favorite podcast app. For The Gaily Show, check out our YouTube channel, unless, of course, you're watching it here right now. We're also on AM 950's YouTube channel and their Facebook page. As always, you can connect with us through our website, thisqueerbook.com. On our website, you can leave me a voice message of the current LGBTQ books, film, or TV that you're loving right now. And if you send me a message, I will play it on the air to share with the community. So go to our homepage, thisqueerbook.com, scroll down, and you will see an orange box with a microphone on it. Click it and share your message of what queer media you're loving to watch or read or listen to right now. And if you have LGBTQ entertainment with a Minnesota angle, email gailyshow@thisqueerbook.com. That's GAILY at thisqueerbook.com. And until our next episode, see you queers and allies in the bookstores.